I died in the year my wife loved me most. She walked away from a fortune worth tens of millions without a second thought and chose to die with me in the fire. In our final moment, she held my hand, sobbing so hard she could barely speak. "I waited for you so long in this life," she said. "Next time, come find me sooner." When I opened my eyes again, I was back 5 years earlier, at the point when I hated her the most. I rushed to her company. The moment I saw that familiar face, my throat tightened and I choked out, "Isabel Lopez, I'm sorry." A flicker of surprise crossed her face, then faded into sorrow. "Go ahead," she said. "How are you going to torture me this time?" When the explosion happened, I remember Isabel didn't leave. Always so clean and put together, she knelt beside me and whispered, "Luke Dawson, don't be scared. I'm staying with you." She was 28 then. She left behind her fortune without hesitation and died with me in the flames. It was a midsummer evening. The dying sunlight outside bled like fire across the sky, and a stifling wind drifted in through the window. I woke from a dream, sitting on the bed in a daze. The wall clock ticked softly in the corner. The calendar lay quietly on the desk. I looked down at the brand-new wedding band on my ring finger, closed my eyes and somehow, I was back 5 years ago. The roaring fire before my death, the soft touch of her hand, it all felt so real. Was this a dream or reality? I pinched myself. A dull pain shot through my thigh. A siren wailed outside, snapping me from my haze. After the shock wore off, a deep, aching sorrow settled in. A carefully orchestrated misunderstanding had made me hate Isabel for years. During that time, her rivals did everything they could to crush her, leaving her gasping for air. At home, I treated her with nothing but cold indifference. Her parents had passed early, and with no other family, she spent half her life guarding the company they left behind. Eventually, the misunderstanding was cleared. We had 6 months of happiness, even had a child. Isabel cherished that child dearly. She'd always been career-focused, but after getting pregnant, she took a long leave to rest at home. Then, she had a miscarriage. Just then, the housekeeper, Emily Carter, walked in. "Sir, the flowers have arrived. Are you ready to leave?" "What?" I asked, still in a daze. "The flowers," she reminded gently. "Aren't you going to see Miss Latina?" Latina Mera. Hearing that name, I froze. Amid the chaos in my mind, one thread came loose today. Was the day. Latina was my childhood friend and a gifted actress. But, because of an accident, she suffered severe burns and would spend the rest of her life in the hospital. In my past life, on this very day, I brought her a bouquet and visited her at the hospital. After spending her birthday with her, I walked out of the hospital and saw Isabel sitting in her car. Her expression was pitiful and heartbroken, but I didn't want to explain. I didn't even want to see her. Isabel spotted me, opened the car door, and ran over. "Luke, it's my birthday today," she said, hope faint in her voice. I stopped and looked at her coldly. "So what?" Isabel stared at me with her clear eyes, saying nothing. I went on, "It's Latina's birthday, too. To marry me, you destroyed her face and ruined her career. What more do you want from me?" Isabel opened her mouth, trying in vain to explain, "It was just an accident." I sneered. If you hadn't invited her that day, she wouldn't be lying in a hospital bed right now. How am I supposed to believe that was an accident? Isabel fell silent. Finally, she said, "I'm sorry." From that day on, things between us spiraled. We plunged into a long, bitter, cold war. I found out much later The accident even Isabel believed in had been a setup, a scheme to drive a wedge between us. Emily Carter's return interrupted my thoughts. Sir, your things are already in the car. If we wait much longer, the traffic will be awful. I snapped out of it, threw on a jacket, and got into the car, my heart pounding. This was 5 years ago. Everything could still be changed. As the car merged into traffic, the driver said, "The road to the hospital is already jammed. Should I call Miss Latina to let her know you'll be late?" I stared at the flashing traffic lights outside and changed my mind. Forget the hospital. Go to the company. Truth be told, I didn't remember much about Isabel's company. When I was young, I hated her and never once visited. Later, when I loved her, she was surrounded by danger, and I was afraid to approach. Now, standing beneath a row of office towers, I found myself lost. Which one was hers? Passersby stared curiously. A man in a suit holding an enormous bouquet, looking like he was about to confess his love. Uncomfortable, I pulled out my phone and found Isabel's number, just her full name, not even marked as an emergency contact. I pressed call, expecting to wait, but after just 2 rings, she picked up. Her deep, crisp voice came through. Yes? Hearing her again made my eyes sting. I swallowed hard. Isabel, where's your office? I can't find it. It sounded like she was in a meeting. She paused, then said, "Meeting adjourned." Then to me, "Stand on the sidewalk. I'll come down." A few minutes later, Isabel walked out. The sunlight stretched her elegant figure into a long shadow. She looked regal, cool, otherworldly. I, in contrast, looked like a mess in the reflection. Shit, I'd ruined it all. Why are you here? Her tone was distant, almost icy. When I turned, Isabel was staring at me indifferently. Isabel was always composed and flawless, like a flower blooming on a cliff, untouched by dust. I looked down, unable to meet her eyes. "Sorry, didn't mean to bother you. Today," she said, then stopped. I knew what she meant. I was supposed to be celebrating Latina's birthday, not showing up here. That actually reminded me. I shoved the flowers into her arms and muttered, "Happy birthday." Silence. I sneaked a glance as she was staring at the bouquet, not happy at all. After a long moment, she let out a bitter, mocking smile. "Luke, she didn't want them, did she?" "What?" My heart sank as I followed her gaze to the flowers. Damn it. Ice blue roses, meaning, "I give you the stars and the sea." Latina's favorite. The stars and the sea. In my fog of memories, I'd been so desperate to find Isabel, I'd overlooked this detail. "I'm sorry, Thanks for the gift," she cut in, voice stiff. "It's getting late. Let the driver take you home." She turned to leave. I grabbed her wrist. Wait. Isabel didn't expect that. She lost her balance and fell into my arms, soft and fragrant. She quickly straightened up and stared at my hand, saying nothing. After a long silence, I gritted my teeth and said, "Isabel, I'm not going home." Her expression was bleak. "Luke, how are you planning to torment me this time?" That was a hard question. Back then, we had just gotten married. I was constantly picking fights, hurling cruel words at her. Even gifts during holidays were chosen just to wound her. I was like the boy who cried wolf. After too many false alarms, she stopped believing me. In my past life, once the misunderstanding cleared up, I made things up to her in a rather physical way. She always looked cold, but was surprisingly easy to coax. But that might not work now. Isabel had suffered too much already. I wanted to make it right. After thinking it over, I said, "Let me take you out to dinner." She looked down, voice chilly. "Don't bother. I've got work tonight." I shamelessly trailed behind her. "Then I'll order takeout. How about longevity noodles?" Isabel said nothing, didn't even acknowledge me. She clutched the bouquet tightly. We passed a trash can. I thought she'd toss it without hesitation, but she didn't. She walked all the way back to her office with it. On her desk sat a cold, untouched meal. So that's how she planned to spend her birthday? My heart twisted. I pulled out my phone and ordered longevity noodles for her light broth, low salt, no scallions. Tomato beef brisket for the side, along with a few mild veggie dishes. In the past, Isabel always ordered spicy food to suit my taste. Only later did I learn her stomach was weak. Too spicy, too oily, too salty, none of it suited her. After placing the order, I sat on the sofa, unsure what to say. Anything felt wrong. Isabel was unwrapping the flowers to put them in a vase. The icy blue roses stung my eyes. Without thinking, I marched over, snatched them away, and dumped them in the trash. She froze, watching a bead of blood form where a thorn had pricked her thumb. She sighed, exhausted. "Luke, haven't you had enough?" "No," I said, swallowing my frustration. I was mad at how passive she was. "Forget those. You don't like them. I'll get you something else." Isabel pulled out a tissue and pressed it to the wound. Her eyes lowered, her voice bitter. "Whatever." I ignored her, grabbed the trash bag and said, "Wait here," then rushed out the door. It was a summer evening, and flower vendors lined the streets. Their bouquets weren't as fancy as the florists, but I didn't care. I just needed new flowers. I ran from stall to stall, buying every red rose I could find, wrapped them hastily in cheap paper, and bundled them into one giant bouquet. Just as the delivery arrived, I hauled everything upstairs. The 19th floor felt even more deserted than before. Most of the overtime workers had left. Only Isabel's office still had a soft light on. I tread quietly, pushing the door open. She stood with her back to me, gazing out the floor-to-ceiling window, her figure full of solitude. She looked like a stray cat that had been abandoned. The heavy bouquet and the takeout collided with the door, making a loud thud. Isabel stiffened and whipped around, eyes widening when she saw me, almost crushed by everything I was carrying. She clearly hadn't expected me to come back. After a moment of stunned silence, she rushed over and took the bouquet from me with both hands. I let out a breath, sweat trickling down my forehead, but still managed to smile. "These are for you." I bought every rose I could find on the street. For a moment, Isabel's delicate, beautiful face went blank. Crap! She didn't seem to know how to respond to this version of me. Was it really that she needed me to yell at her to feel normal? When I saw her about to sit down and eat that cold boxed meal again, I groaned exaggeratedly. Isabel looked over immediately, and I caught the flicker of concern in her eyes. I flopped onto the couch, chin up, and snapped. "Can't you eat something hot for once? Watching you eat that crap makes me nauseous." Isabel. Over the next 30 minutes, the office echoed with my nonstop nagging. "Do you even know how to eat properly? You didn't see that giant chunk of beef? Seriously, still picky at your age? You slurping those noodles or just admiring them?" Thanks to my relentless coaching, she finished the entire steaming bowl. I was afraid she might still be hungry, so I added 2 mini buns. I even gave her the osmanthus cake I'd brought for myself. I talked so much, my throat went dry. Suddenly, a glass of water appeared in front of me. I looked up. Isabel was watching me. "Drink before you continue your rant," she said. Her expression had softened a lot. Her eyes were still dim, but at least the icy guard was gone. I fought the urge to pull her into a hug. Isabel, I said gently, let's just live a good life together from now on. She looked away, silently cleaning up the dishes, not responding to my plea. Put on your coat. I'll have the driver take you home. But I just got here, I said, hoping to stay a little longer. She quickly opened the door and walked out like she was fleeing something. Taking out the trash wasn't something a CEO should be doing. Of course, I felt disappointed. I'd come back from death for a second chance, and this woman was proving harder to win over than ever. I slumped on the couch, trying to plan my next move. Should I just pounce? Or should we pour our hearts out first, then pounce? A sudden phone ring cut through my thoughts. I answered distractedly, and on the other end was a voice distant but familiar. Luke, where are you? My excitement plummeted. I'd forgotten about her. Oh, it's you. My tone wasn't exactly warm. Latina's voice was gentle. I've been waiting a long time. Didn't you say we'd spend our birthdays together? The memories came rushing back. I clenched my fingers until my knuckles turned white. Latina, we're childhood friends, right? She sensed something was off. Luke, we're family. Family, I repeated, then asked suddenly, is there something you want to tell me? There was a long silence. Then she sighed. Sorry, I shouldn't have snuck that extra piece of cake. See? The ones we care about can lie, demand things, joke around without consequence. But Isabel, she always had to stay in the background, carrying everything alone. I went cold all over. I couldn't even force a smile. I've got something to do today. I'm not coming. Happy birthday. I hung up, took a deep breath, and felt a crushing weight in my chest. I remembered the calls she made to me before I was kidnapped, asking where I was. I spiraled into thought. She had been the person I trusted most. But what if, from the beginning, the explosion was an inside job? I looked up and saw Isabel standing in the doorway, her face half shrouded in shadow. I hesitated before asking, You heard that? Yeah. Let's go, she said with a calm that came from holding back too much. The car's downstairs. I opened my mouth, unsure how to explain what would happen in the future, afraid she'd think I was crazy. I followed her out the door, guilt churning in my gut. Isabel. She slowed her steps slightly but didn't turn around. That call Latina called me. I blurted. I really did agree to spend her birthday with her yesterday, but today I'm different. I came from the future. Isabel stopped abruptly, turned around, and her eyes shimmered with cold fury. Enough. She closed her eyes, trying to calm herself. Dinner was good. I'm glad you spent my birthday with me. I stared at her, and in her eyes, I saw pain buried deep. Her lips were pale. Each word trembled, like it hurt her to say them. So in the end, if you still choose to go to Latina, fine. That's the price. She'd said something similar in the past. Back then, every bit of warmth I gave her had to be repaid with suffering. She never dared hope for anything, always ready for me to leave. Those words now stabbed through my heart like a blade. On this very day in the past, when I wasn't with her, her birthday dinner was a cold box meal. No one said happy birthday. That's why she'd waited at the hospital for me. All Isabel wanted was to hear me say, happy birthday. But I told her to mind her own business, to stay far away. The truth had come too late, and now it crushed me. She looked away. Sorry, I spoke out of turn. It's getting dark. If you're going to the hospital, you should go. I grabbed her hand and locked our fingers together. She froze, but didn't pull away. Her voice was low and hoarse. Luke, what are you doing? Trying to humiliate me even more? I pulled her into my arms firmly. "Don't move, babe." Just 4 words, but they sealed her in place. I kissed her cold lips and pushed her gently against the wall, holding her close. She went from stiff to stunned to surrendering completely. Her eyes fluttered shut. Her spotless dress was now a crumpled mess. She didn't realize when she wrapped her arms around me, holding me tight against her. The overhead lights flickered, then went dark. In that darkness, we parted, foreheads resting together, catching our breath. "Luke," she said in a low, strained voice, "don't do this. You don't like it?" "That's not it." After a long pause, she said, "Don't tempt me. Not while I still have some reason left. Go to her." "You can bear it?" I whispered into her ear. "Not jealous. Not angry. You'd let me kiss someone else?" Isabel seemed to snap. She grabbed me and kissed me hard. I smirked until things started slipping out of control. "Isabel!" I yelped. "Wait, what are you?" "I meant let's go home and then—" Her cool voice was absolute. "I gave you a chance. You didn't take it. Now, there's no chance left." With that, she shoved me onto the couch. I thought with her personality she wouldn't go too far, but I'd forgotten she'd once been the kind of woman who'd die for love. Deep down, there was always something wild in her. Everything was spiraling. Her soft plea was muffled against my lips. "Luke, be gentle with me, please." I clenched my teeth, held her tight, and my nose stung. "Isabel, I've already picked out names for our kids," I said. I'd spent so long thinking about it in my past life, but never got the chance to tell her. "Luke, don't," she whispered hoarsely. "You don't believe me?" Her silence said everything. She didn't dare to dream that we could have a child. "A boy and a girl," I said. "You get to choose their nicknames." But I didn't realize that just as she was regaining control of herself, I threw her right back into the storm. The door quietly shut. Outside the floor-to-ceiling window, the wind circled. The moonlight was clear. On the other side of the door, only soft murmurs remained. In the dead of night, I joked that I didn't want her anymore. Isabel didn't say a word, she just hugged me tightly. "If not me, then who?" she asked seriously. My face flushed red. "Anyone but you?" She mumbled. "Doesn't matter. You don't get to decide." That night, my dreams were a mess. Isabel clinging to me, and the fire from my past life. I was on the ground, strapped with explosives. Isabel charged into the flames and held me, her whole body shaking. I saw her crying. All I could do was weakly push her away. "Get out, Isabel, I'm begging you." "Don't touch me, please." Her sobs shattered the dream. The warmth vanished in an instant. I jolted awake, face wet, with tears. I'd been dreaming. When I came to, I saw that I'd pushed Isabel to the edge of the bed. Judging by her expression, I must have been talking in my sleep. She handed me a tissue but stayed at a distance, avoiding any contact. My heart sank. She misunderstood again. "Isabel," I said quietly. "I was dreaming." She listened earnestly. "In the fire. I was strapped with explosives. You were going to die with me. That's why I said what I said." "Please don't take it the wrong way." Her eyes brightened for just a moment, as if something clicked then dimmed again. "Okay, I believe you." She tucked the blanket around me, grabbed a pillow, and walked out. "Isabel," I called after her. "You liar." She didn't answer. "Fine. Go then." I sat on the bed, making no attempt to explain. No wonder people say young folks are stubborn. 5 years younger, and Isabel was as rigid as ever not, nearly as soft as she used to be. After a long silence, the mattress dipped behind me. Isabel let out a sigh. Go to sleep. Hug me while we sleep. Obediently, she curled up in my arms. The night was long, but I stared into the dark with no sleep in sight. Ever since I came back, my mind had been tangled with too many thoughts. The man who kidnapped me had once had dealings with Isabel. He was a bankrupt CEO. And the accident that happened to Latina turned out to be a scheme by my second uncle to break me and Isabel apart. I only learned all this in the final year of my previous life. I'd always been careful with my whereabouts, yet I still got kidnapped in the end. How did they find me? The only possibility was Latina's call. Even in my final moments, Isabel once said, "Thank you, Latina. Without you, I wouldn't have found him. I was too close to see the truth." Looking back now, Latnami, childhood companion, the one I trusted most, what role had she really played? I'd barely slept last night, and the next morning, my head was foggy. I ended up sleeping until afternoon. Clearly, she'd expected that I'd wake up starving. Lunch was neatly arranged on the table. The place was spotless, everything in order. After a quick wash, I ate and headed to Isabel's study. It was quiet. She was in a video conference. The slanted evening sun cast a soft glow through the window, lighting up her cold, stunning features. It softened the distance she always carried. My heart fluttered. The more I looked, the more beautiful she seemed. Isabel's perception was always sharp. She glanced up the moment I opened the door. Seeing what I was wearing, she froze for a second. I cleared my throat awkwardly and sat across from her. I pulled out my phone, 5 missed calls from Latina, and over a dozen messages. All from the middle of the night. I must have been half unconscious by then. Why hadn't I heard it? I stared at Isabel, suspicious. She seemed focused, pretending not to notice me. Fine. I crossed my legs and waved them just within her peripheral vision. She suddenly stumbled over her words. "Let's stop here for today," she said, ending the call. She leaned back in her chair, frowning slightly. Luke. Oh, last night I was hubby, and now I'm back to Luke? It was chilly. I smiled and draped a coat over her shoulders. "Isabel, did my phone ring last night?" She looked down calmly. "I didn't notice." "Really?" I walked around the desk and tilted her chin up. No matter how well she pretended, she was still just a girl to me. "Luke, it's work hours," she said stiffly. If it weren't for her slightly shaky breathing, I might have believed she was as composed as she looked. Oh, I gave her a soft kiss. "Want more?" She paused, then answered bluntly, "Yes." I kissed her. Again. "I'm in the next room. Let's go home together when you're off." Back in my room, I got another call from Latina. "Luke, I got discharged." Her voice was hoarse. Nose congested, she hadn't slept. I was caught off guard. "Why'd you leave the hospital?" "I gave up," she said. "If I can't be fixed, I'll just stop trying. I just want a peaceful life with you." My brows furrowed. My voice turned cold. "We've been over for a long time. I'm married." "Then what am I supposed to do? You think I don't love you because your face is ruined?" I said, "You were the one who said we had to break up so the company could promote you." Latina wouldn't give up. Her voice softened. "But Luke, you promised to wait for me. How long was I supposed to wait?" I sighed. "You had countless chances, and you made me wait every time." My second uncle was a man who'd do anything to achieve his goals. After I was born, my parents left me with the Dawson family and moved overseas to build new lives. I was just a pawn. While Latina shined on the silver screen, I was cornered by my uncle. That night, I called her nonstop. She ignored me. The next day, I watched her on screen having her first kiss, and that was it. I accepted my uncle's deal. Now, on the phone, Latina asked, "Do you love Isabel?" Without hesitation, I said, "I love her." She never contacted me again after that. Over the next few days, I thought a lot. To catch the one who ruined my past life, I needed Isabel's help. Step 1, convince her I was reborn. Otherwise, she might just have me committed. I leaned on the table in front of her, animatedly summarizing another rebirth novel. It was the third one this month I'd made her read. Isabel listened carefully. "If you like it, I can invest and turn it into a drama," she said. "It's not about me. Do you like it?" She looked at the wrinkled shirt I was wearing and sighed. "If you like it, then I like it too." I wouldn't let it go. I curled my hand into a fist, like a mic. "Then tell me how you feel." She went quiet. Lately, things had been going well between us. She was incredibly patient with me, giving in to almost everything. But something still felt off. "Isabel," I pulled my chair closer, serious now. "I think it's time I told you the truth." She set down her chopsticks, ready to listen. "Go ahead." I took a deep breath. I was reborn too. A long silence. Isabel raised a brow and pressed her lips tightly together. She was holding back a laugh. "I knew you wouldn't believe me." I pointed at her. "Go on, Luke," she said, lips twitching into a smile that she tried to hide. "I believe you." So I spilled everything, every detail of my past life. At first, she listened like I was a kid telling bedtime stories, thinking it was some new trick I'd learned. But gradually, her brows knit tighter and tighter. That's when I knew I was saying the right things. The guy who stabbed May, his last name was Morgan. He used to work at your company before going solo. Of course, that's 5 years from now. I don't know where he is yet. Also, my second uncle was involved. One more thing you need to be careful of. Before I could finish, a shrill ringtone cut me off. Isabel and I both looked at the caller ID. Latina. Because I'd forgotten to update the contact, her name still appeared as just that, no last name. Isabel's face fell, her expression hardening again. She stood up with the plates. "I'll wash the dishes." That feeling crept back. She was retreating again. She was still afraid. Gritting my teeth, I grabbed the phone and followed her to the kitchen. She stood with her back to me, faucet running. I put the call on speaker. Latina's familiar voice came through, along with the sound of howling wind. "Luke, this might be the last time I ever call you." I tensed. "Where are you?" The rooftop of our high school. Her voice was barely above a whisper. "Luke? Remember? The day my parents left me, you said the Dawson family didn't treat you right either. That we could be family. When I was 18, I wanted to jump from the roof. You stopped me." Her voice trembled with regret. "But now you don't want me anymore. I don't see a reason to live." "Latina, don't do anything rash." My head buzzed. I grabbed a jacket and started pulling it on. "Wait for me! I'm coming right now!" I hung up, turned, and saw Isabel still standing silently by the sink, her back to me, as if she hadn't heard a thing. Only the sound of running water remained. I panicked. "Hey! What are you doing just standing there?" She stumbled when I grabbed her, looking at me in shock. "Change clothes! I can't go alone. It's not appropriate. I'm married." Frustrated, I pulled out my phone and barked, "Isabel, 10 seconds. Lose the apron. I'm calling the cops. Latina's lost it." "The kids are still in night classes." She jumps in front of them. "What then?" "I'm ready." Isabel was already by the door, dressed and composed. I blinked. "You're fast." The police had arrived and told me not to speak with Latina again. There was still a sliver of hope she wouldn't do anything just yet. That bought time to evacuate the students. We reached the school quickly. The rooftop wind was fierce but couldn't cut the lingering heat. The campus was dead silent. Cops stood 5 meters from Latina but dared not approach. One officer grabbed my arm. "Mr. Dawson, she insists on seeing you. Stall her, we're waiting on rescue." I looked at Isabelsha, stood beyond the police line, and gave me a nod. I took a deep breath and climbed the steps. Latina. The figure sitting at the edge of the roof shifted. She turned her head, revealing the burned side of her face. "Luke, you came." For a moment, I felt like I hadn't seen her in years. In my past life, after Isabel and I cleared things up, we visited Latina a few times. She was always distant. After hating someone for so long, it's hard to let go of it after learning they weren't the enemy. Later, as Isabel came under attack from all sides, I stayed home, afraid to go out. All in all, it had been over a year since I'd last seen her. "Latina, come down, okay?" She ignored me, just staring. "I'm sorry." Her eyes shifted to Isabel in the crowd. "You were right. I was too selfish. You told me before the wedding you'd only be family to me. I was the one who wanted more." I remembered all the years we supported each other. When thugs bullied her, I stood up for her. When my uncle kicked me out, she showed up in the rain, bringing an umbrella, bringing me home. For a moment, I wavered. Was she really the one who tried to kill me? Latina smiled faintly. "You promised you'd spend every birthday with me. Sing me the birthday song and I'll come down." "Okay, I'll sing." The wind gradually died down. My voice drifted over the rooftop. As I sang, I realized I'd never sung this for Isabel. I'd make it up to her. When the song ended, Latina stood, facing me. "Thanks. I haven't heard you sing in years. It was beautiful." She paused. "Can I ask one last thing?" "Go ahead. Do you still love me?" I was silent for a long time. Finally, I said, "You're my family." From the moment she stepped on stage, that's what she'd become. Latina's dark eyes scanned the crowd. It felt like she was looking at Isabel. The rooftop wind sent a chill through me. "Let's go home, okay?" I said. She looked back at me, smiled gently. "Luke, I love you." And then she opened her arms, fell backwards into the night. Time froze. My blood turned to ice. I lunged for the edge. "Latina!" But I grabbed nothing but air. I stared at the darkness below, my mind blank. I thought I heard a dull thud. My knees gave out. I collapsed. Latina, was she really dead? Was I wrong about her? People say we can sense things. Had she felt me pulling away and chosen death because of it? Was I the one who pushed her off the edge? I sat in a daze, body trembling. Then suddenly, warm arms wrapped around me. That familiar sent me lifeline. I clutched Isabel's hands. I killed her. She held me close. She's not dead. The police caught her with an air cushion. I closed my eyes. It took a while to fully come back to myself. When someone dies because of you, the guilt is crushing. Isabel's voice was strained. She only has a few scrapes. They took her to the hospital. If you want to see her, I can take you. No. My voice was raw. I want to be with you. Okay. We got back in the car. Outside, the police were clearing out. Soon, someone would take us to the hospital. Latina had no other family. Exhausted, I turned to Isabel. Before we came, I didn't get the chance to say this. I think Latina might have been involved too. Isabel drew in a deep breath. Luke. And what if she wasn't? If she's innocent, would you choose her or me? It wasn't until she asked that question that I finally breathed a true sigh of relief. All this time, Isabel had always assumed she was the one left unchosen. But the Luke from 5 years later, he chose Isabel. Every single time. I looked her in the eyes. You remember when Latina first debuted? Yeah. We didn't even know each other back then. I'd already broken up with her. If I had to describe my feelings for Latina, they were complicated. We weathered the chaos of our youth together and stepped into the brutal adult world. But, looking back, there was very little actual love involved. I started counting on my fingers. She started acting, became more and more famous. By the time I married you, we'd been broken up for over a year. I'll admit, I really disliked you at first. Just like I hated my second uncle, I hated anyone who barged into my life uninvited. It just so happened that Latina was in a car accident on her way to a dinner with investors. The driver was one of your people. I assumed you were as ruthless as my uncle. It wasn't that I loved Latina. I just hated people who ruined others' futures over a disagreement. Isabel gently squeezed my hand. I'm sorry. That really was my fault. I didn't think it through. No, I said, kissing her forehead. It was my uncle's doing. You didn't do anything wrong. If anyone dares blame you, I'll fight them. She was quiet for a moment, then whispered, Thank you. For what? For the first time, someone's taking my side. Guilt washed over me again. Isabel's background rarely came up in the industry. She truly had no one to protect her. She looked at me seriously. Can you tell me when you started to like me? The night was dark, but I could see the hope in her eyes. Once, you came home drunk and accidentally kicked the scarf I'd knitted for our puppy. In the middle of the night, you sat cross-legged on the floor trying to fix it. I told you to go to bed. You said the puppy would be cold without a scarf in winter. And I thought, anyone who cares if a dog is cold couldn't possibly be that heartless. There was one thing I didn't tell her. That night, she mumbled in her sleep, Luke, I'm cold too. I'd gotten up for a glass of water and overheard it. My heart softened. She seemed so pitiful, so alone. No one liked her. Isabel listened intently. We had a puppy? Yeah, on my birthday, 3 years from now. You gave me one. You said you were always too busy and not home enough so the puppy could keep me company. I grinned and started counting. It must be an old dog now. Maybe still waiting to be reborn. Ours was really smart, picked up everything in a flash. I started to wonder if it skipped drinking from Mengpo's. I stopped mid-sentence. Isabel blinked. What's wrong? I grabbed her hand, stunned. Latina. She's like me. Like you. How? On the rooftop. I turned, frowning harder and harder. She said it had been years since she heard me sing happy birthday to her. But last year I did. Isabel narrowed her eyes, immediately understanding. You're saying, in the previous timelines, he waited years for that song? Yes. Blood rushed to my head. It felt like needles pricking my spine. If she waited for that birthday song for years, there's only one explanation. Isabel and I locked eyes. We saw the same doubt reflected back. To the hospital. Half an hour later, the doctor told us someone had taken Latina. When we pressed, they cited privacy laws and refused to say more. That made it hard to believe Latina had no connection to all of this. On the way home, one question kept circling my mind. You think she jumped on purpose? Isabel's eyes flicked. Generally, in low-rise buildings, the police set up air cushions. If it were me, I'd be 100% sure I wouldn't die. I stared at her profile, intrigued. Oh? And what do you think her motive was? She snorted softly. To manipulate your sympathy. So you'd side with her. It was the first time across 2 lifetimes that Isabel had ever said something so petty. I nodded gravely. You're pretty sharp. Dryly, she replied. Women know women best. I didn't press, just stared out at the scenery rushing past the window, deep in thought. If I warned Isabel 5 years in advance about who to watch out for, maybe things wouldn't get worse. I thought about that past life how she rushed into the fire without hesitation to save me. My chest ached again. How could I not fall for her? When someone treats you that well, you notice. After hours of running around, it was late when we got home. Emily Carter had left. The living room was dark. Just as Isabel reached out for the light, I lunged forward and pushed her onto the couch. Her clothes got rumpled. Her voice turned hoarse. What are you doing? Isabel? I whispered in her ear. I love you. Her breath instantly turned ragged. Get off, she ordered, nearly panicked. I blinked in surprise. Wait, are you... Don't speak, she said, covering my eyes. And don't look. Darkness enveloped me. Her warm palm brushed my lashes with every blink. Who knew 3 little words I love you could be so lethal? They threw her completely off balance. I grinned. I love you. I love you. Like feathers teasing her heart, spreading soft flames. I could feel her heartbeat speeding up under my palm, so I softened my tone. Babe, I love you. And then her lips silenced mine. With uncharacteristic passion, she cornered me, making me surrender to her love. Her hands, like they were handling treasure, traced my face, my neck, lingering with obsession. I laughed and asked, Hey, thought of names for our kids yet? Breathless, Isabel held me. Luke, I'm yours. After our shower, my eyelids drooped. As I cuddled her, my hands wandered freely. She was like a docile kitten, never seemed to get angry. Luke? I mumbled, drowsy. Right after we got married, you promised to take me to a movie. But you canceled the next day, said you had a stomachache. Did you go to see her instead? It was so long ago. I dug into my memory didn't seem to involve Latina. Isabel had sent me a mini cake the day before, and I'd come down with gastroenteritis. I went to the hospital for fluids, then came home to sleep. But the way Isabel said it, something felt off. I was suddenly wide awake. Sitting up, Isabel looked startled, then apologized. You don't need to say sorry. I'm not mad. I sat cross-legged on the bed. I'm just curious, why would you think I went to see Latina? Given her abilities, she could have easily checked my schedule and seen I was barely alive on an IV drip. But she hadn't checked. After a pause, Isabel admitted, I saw her moments post. She barely ever posts. We locked eyes. In both our gazes' confusion, Isabel pulled out her phone and handed it to me. I opened Latina's profile eagerly, and the moment I saw her posts, my mind went blank. August 9th, Luke said he'd celebrate my birthday today. Thank you, my love. August once to add Luke's home-cooked meal. Still tastes like before. I scrolled frantically, back through months of posts. There, it was half a year ago. The movie's out. Waiting for Luke. That was the day I had gastroenteritis. But when I opened my own phone, her moments feed was completely empty. She'd made those posts visible only to Isabel. In truth, ever since I got married, I'd barely had any contact with her, just the occasional hospital call about billing or treatment plans. I genuinely treated her like an old friend. But she hurt the people I loved. Again and again, behind my back. My head pounded with rage. And you believed it? There isn't even a single photo of me in there. Isabel stared at my blank moments feed. Something began to flicker in her eyes. Luke, I couldn't afford not to believe it. She kept opening and closing the posts, as if trying to confirm something, or maybe it was just instinct, grasping at light after being in the dark for so long. I was afraid that if I asked someone to check, I'd find out you really did go to that movie with her. If that were true, I'd rather not know. I felt both furious and heartbroken. You could have just asked me, but halfway through, I stopped. Right. Back then, I would snap at her for no reason. Even if she had asked, the answer probably wouldn't have made her feel any better. I was wrong. I pulled my pitiful little wife into my arms, my eyes stinging. I'm sorry. I'll never take my temper out on you again. She laughed softly. I'll never be mad at you. Just don't ever say you don't want me again. That night, the last bit of distance between us disappeared. I suspected Isabel had a bit of a masochistic streak if she didn't get scolded once a day. She didn't feel right. One morning, in early autumn, I snapped again. Isabel, are you trying to work yourself to death so I can give you a dedication to duty banner? Her sexy voice came through the phone, rough and a little nasal. I can still handle it, she said, laughing. She'd had a fever late into the night, burning hot. I called our family doctor, got her some meds, coaxed and forced her to take them. I even washed her down with a towel. By dawn, the fever finally broke. I left a light meal planned for Emily Carter, so Isabel would have something gentle to eat when she woke up. But when I opened my eyes, it was 10 o'clock, and she had already gone to work. Maybe the shadows of our past made me extra protective of her now. After a quick breakfast, I grabbed some of Emily's porridge and rushed to her office. The secretary stood up, clearly nervous. The general manager is in a meeting and can't receive guests. That's fine. I'll wait. I sat on the sofa near the door and played on my phone. Gradually, I heard Isabel's voice, through the door, colder and sharper than I'd ever heard. I gave you a chance. You didn't take it. GM, Isabel, you deliberately set me up to fail. Isabel chuckled. So what? You're being unreasonable. I'm a businesswoman. I care about profit, not fairness. I rested my chin on my hand, listening closely. The secretary looked like she was about to faint. Suddenly, the door burst open, and a furious middle-aged man stormed out. As he passed, our eyes met. I froze. Morgan. He was the one who stabbed me in my past life. Had Isabel already started taking action? 10 years early, classic Isabel. The secretary, dripping with sweat, called out nervously, "General Manager, your husband is here." I snapped out of it, grabbed the lunchbox, and walked in. Isabel sat by the window, pristine in a white blouse, smiling at me gently. "I'll be home for lunch." I thudded the lunchbox onto her desk and sat across from her. That man just was the one I told you about. The one who stabbed me. Isabel's eyes turned icy. She simply said, "Leave it to me," then started eating her meal. Perfect timing, the porridge was still warm. Even the way she ate had such grace, it was a joy to watch. Catching me staring, Isabel paused. "Want to eat with me?" "Yeah." As she blinked in surprise, I leaned over and kissed her. That bowl of porridge? Gone. She blushed. and gave me a playful glare. After all those entangled years across 2 lives, it finally felt like we were truly in love. Time flew. Before I knew it, it was late autumn. Latina had vanished from my life. Phone number canceled, all contact cut. Sometimes, when I saw high school students leaving school, I'd think of the past. But my instincts told me, this wasn't over. Not like this. Isabel was getting busier, gone from dawn till late. It reminded me of the past how she was always swamped with work. Sir, it's 10 p.m. You should rest. I was sitting cross-legged on the carpet, surrounded by new shopping bags. I'll wait a bit longer. I hadn't seen her face to face in a week. Tonight, I just wanted to wait for her. The weather was getting cold. I'd gone to the mall and picked out a full set of winter clothes for her. A camel plaid scarf, a wool coat. It even matched mine. And the gloves, those fluffy, childish, matching couple gloves she liked. As I was putting everything into the closet, I heard a vibration from one of her coats. A phone. I pulled it out and saw it was an email. I snapped a photo and sent her a message, playfully sarcastic. Wifey, why do you have a phone I didn't know about? She was used to my random antics. It's for work. Forgot it. Open it for me. I smiled and did. Better not be a love letter. Or, I'm gonna make a scene. The screen loaded. A medical report. I squinted and zoomed in. Carlos Marascal fracture and intracranial bleeding. Did something fall on his head? Oh, there's a death report. Workplace accident. Poor guy. Isabel replied, "Put the phone back. I'll be home soon." Dinner was still warming in the kitchen. I tucked the phone back and started wrapping the new clothes as a gift, planning a surprise. My buddy Tony Camel teased me on the phone. Used to hate her guts. And now, look at you, Luke. Did someone swap your soul? Maybe I was blind before. All right, all right. When are we opening our studio? Your designs are impossible to get these days. I hesitated. Let's wait a little. Oh, I get it. Gotta stay by Isabel's side, huh? I admitted I just wanted to spend more time with her. If everything reset and nothing changed, we'd still die together in the end. So every day we had it was one day less. Isabel walked through the door right on time. The living room was dim, lit only by a small lamp left for her. The stew was still warm in the clay pot. She dove into my arms like a cat. Luke. I wrapped my arms around her, helpless. Hold tight, don't fall. Come to the bedroom. I got you a present. In the middle of the room sat a giant, lopsidedly wrapped gift box. This is your belated birthday gift. Open it. Take a look. Isabel lowered her eyes. A flicker of surprise shone in them. Luke, thank you. She rested her hand on the box, hesitated for a long time, then said, There's something I want to talk to you about. Go ahead. She opened her mouth, closed it again, then finally said, We might need to spend some time apart. I froze for a few seconds, then slowly, word by word, asked, You want a divorce? A flash of pain crossed Isabel's face. Just as she was about to speak, I jumped to my feet. I get it, I'll start packing. Luke, she grabbed me. Please, just let me finish, okay? Her eyes were brimming with tears. I need you to help me put on a show. What kind of show? Carlos Merajes Latina's father. Isabel cut to the chase. The email you saw earlier, the one about the fatal construction accident, died on a site that was part of a project your uncle and my father worked on years ago. I suddenly remembered that day on the rooftop with Latina. She stood there in the wind, Her white blouse puffed like a sail. I had shouted, "Latina, what are you doing?" She turned back, her delicate face full of despair. "My family's gone. I have no one left. At the time, I was stunned by the tragedy in her life. I cautiously stepped closer, offering her a popsicle. I don't have family either. What do you think of me?" "You? Yeah. Look, this bruise? Got it locked in the bathroom. My uncle just yells at me for causing trouble. Doesn't care what happens to me." Latina looked down at my bruised arm, took the popsicle, then hopped down from the edge. "What's your uncle's name?" "Aaron Dawson." She looked up slowly. "Aaron Dawson? From Dawson Group?" "Yeah." She looked at me more seriously than she ever had. "Don't worry. From now on, we're family." Back then, I believed it. Years later, I realized what that look really meant. Maybe, just before she heard my uncle's name, she truly meant it. But my connection to the Dawson family gave her the opening she needed for revenge. She spent years telling me that family never betrays you, that if family is hurt, you return it 1,000-fold. But her promise, from the very beginning, was built on a lie. Isabel said, "I can see that Latina loved you. And in your past life, you said she played a part in your death. Maybe it was because you chose me. I can't let you stay tied to me and take that gamble. You don't have real ties to the Dawson family. Latina knows that. So if you leave me, she'll leave you alone. I'll take on the danger alone." I shook my head slowly. "No way. I'm not divorcing you. You know what? In our last life, we even had a child. I never got the chance to tell you." Isabel froze. "Really? Really? If I can't protect my wife and daughter, what kind of man am I?" "Isabel, I'll help you put on your show, but I won't get divorced." A few weeks later, the media broke the story. The prominent entrepreneur Isabel was rumored to be getting divorced. On the same day, photos of me moving out of our villa went viral online. My buddy Tony watched me lug bag after bag into his apartment, beaming. "Big shot. Finally come to your senses and ready to start a business with me?" "Yeah," I said, face blank. "Women. Who can figure them out?" "Hey, just a few days ago, you were all about Isabel. What happened, Spill?" He was practically glowing with gossip. I groaned. "She smeared jam on my bedsheets." "That's it?" "That's it. We divorced." "So what now?" "I'll live on my own." On the third day, I got a call from my uncle. "Luke, come back home tomorrow night." Holding the phone, I laughed. "Well, Uncle Aaron, what brings this on?" "Now that you're divorced, the family can't just leave you suffering out there. We're throwing a banquet. Maybe we'll help you find someone new." After I hung up, Tony looked at me with concern. "Didn't you cut ties with your parents? What's their mess got to do with you? You're well informed. So, are you going?" "I'll be there on time. Blood runs deep. If I don't show up, someone else will think I've gone soft and try to take me down." That night, dressed to the nines, I pushed open the grand doors of the Dawson estate. The banquet hall was bustling. The moment I entered, all eyes turned to me. Whispers started. "That's the Dawson heir? Doesn't seem like much. Well, his parents don't even care about him. Who else would? Maybe we should have our daughters try to marry into the Dawson family, save them a decade of hard work." "Yeah, right." I moved through the crowd. At a corner, I heard a familiar voice. "Long time no see." I turned. Isabel stood in the crowd, with a wine glass, smiling calmly. She'd always been dazzling. News of her divorce had brought in a flood of eager suitors. She was surrounded on all sides by businessmen, each trying to get close. People noticed me. The conversations quieted. General Manager Isabel, maybe you two should catch up. Isabel gave me a cold glance and looked away. No need. We have nothing to do with each other anymore. I grabbed a glass of champagne from a passing waiter and walked toward her. People instinctively stepped aside, afraid we'd cause a scene. Isabel's gaze briefly lingered on. Methan faltered. She forgot her next line. I smiled. Just saying hello. Hope that's not a problem, General Manager Isabel? She finally came back to herself, eyes softening. Of course not. I set down the glass and walked away, pushing open the terrace doors for some air. But someone was already out there. Someone I knew. Latina. She leaned on the railing, the scarred side of her face hidden in shadow. Only the pretty half remained. Luke. Long time no see. I froze. Yeah, long time. She laughed softly. Why so distant? I tried to shake off the tension, took a deep breath. You're the one who vanished. Shouldn't I be asking you where you went? Blocked my number, huh? Feeling bold now, I patted her shoulder, joking like old times. Suddenly, the terrace lights dimmed. Someone had stepped in front of the doorway. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Isabel leaning casually by the window, watching us. Latina was cast fully in shadow. I had surgery, she said. Surgery? She leaned forward slightly, the dim light illuminating her face. The burns had been partially repaired. Take a good look. Do I look the same as before? I stared at her for a long moment. You look the same. I stepped back, widening the gap between us. I'm happy for you. Really? The door burst open. My uncle walked in with a group of guests. Let me introduce everyone, he said proudly. This is my nephew, Luke. And beside him is our company's newest signed actress, Latina. They've known each other since they were kids. This banquet? I wanted to help them settle a little life business. The crowd swarmed around us, guests offering flattery and praise, completely surrounding me and Latina. I leaned toward my uncle. Uncle, I really don't. Latina slipped her arm through mine and smiled. Don't worry, Uncle. I'll take good care of Luke. Like an octopus. Thankfully, she let go after 30 seconds and effortlessly mingled with the guests. I was left with mixed feelings. When she finally returned, I asked, when did you and my uncle get involved? Latina casually tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. I had to get the Dawson family's approval if I ever wanted to marry you. I had other plans, but your divorce saved me the trouble. I stared at her. Face it felt disturbingly unfamiliar. Latina smiled. What? Don't recognize me. Don't I seem different from the Latina you used to know? I used to think her smile was like sunshine, like we were from the same world. But now, I'd clearly been wrong. She stepped closer, forcing me back until I hit the glass door. Luke, I've always been like this. She smiled again, but in the dim light, it looked twisted. Originally, I shouldn't have let you or Isabel go, but I love you. If you come back to me, everything can go back to the way it was. You don't want to die with Isabel again, do you? So it really was her. I clenched my jaw, fingers finding the door handle behind me. I pressed down gently. The door opened. Light streamed in with a cheerful violin melody. Latina, this time, I won't let you in. It wasn't until I stepped back into the crowd that I noticed the sweat soaking through my back. At the end of the hallway was my old bedroom. I figured I'd go rest for a bit. The moment I opened the door, I was tackled onto the bed by a soft, familiar body. A familiar scent hit me, followed by Isabel's low, sultry voice tinged with alcohol. "Where did she touch you?" "My shoulder." A hot kiss immediately landed there. She didn't say a word, just patiently and thoroughly replaced every trace of that woman's touch with her own. Finally, her lips found mine, biting softly. In the darkness, we kissed deeply. After a long time, I whispered, "Were you jealous?" "A whole damn tank," Isabel muttered. "No one's allowed to touch you. No one." She moved to bite my shoulder again. "Hey!" I pushed her away. "We still have to go back downstairs. What if they see a bite mark?" She frowned, not convinced. "They'll say I divorced and immediately jumped into bed with Latina. Do you really want to hear gossip like that?" She went silent for a while. "No." "Then control yourself a little." I ran a hand through her hair. "Latina's teamed up with my uncle. She might already know about me. She's probably taken precautions against you. Do you think you can handle it?" "Luke," she said. "Yeah? If the Dawson family suffers because of this, what will you do?" So, that's what she was worried about. I took her hand. My parents married for business, hated each other. The year I was born, they dumped me on my uncle and moved overseas. To him, I was just a pawn. If not for you, I'd probably be dead already. So don't worry about me. I hooked her pinky finger. Somehow, at some point, she'd put her wedding ring back on. Warmth spread in my chest. If the Dawson family falls, it's because my uncle did shady things. He'll get what he deserves. Over the next few months, I resumed normal life. I hadn't taken a dime from the Dawson family since adulthood, supported myself through college, and succeeded in design. Aside from my uncle forcing me to attend matchmaking dinners with Latina, things were peaceful. Tony was furious. "You cut ties with them. Why are you still listening?" I didn't explain. Latina knew too much. If I didn't play along, she'd stir up trouble for Isabel. Until Isabel crushed them both, I had to hold the line. "Latina, let me choose the date location." I picked a public spot in broad daylight, safer that way. Tony loved watching TV. Lately, Isabel kept popping up on business news channels. Every time, Tony would yell, "Luke, I swear if you try marrying that witch again." He pointed at the screen, shaking like he had Parkinson's. "That kind of woman's no good. If you marry her, I'll eat shit upside down." I looked up from my design drafts. Awkward. "Men, don't be so dramatic. Leave yourself an escape route." "Fine. If you do it, I'm dragging you down with me." Because of Tony's strong objections, I had to sneak around, just to see Isabel. Deep winter. It had just snowed. I bundled up in a thick sweater, took out the trash, and there was Isabel's car parked outside. She stood in the cold, wearing the wool coat and scarf I bought her. I waved. She ran over, bouncing with joy, and jumped into my arms. "Not so loud." I hushed. "Let's get in the car." "What's wrong?" "My roommate thinks you're the worst woman alive." I pulled her into the car, like I was committing a crime. The headlights dimmed. Only the street lamps painted soft shadows on the fresh snow. I fumbled in my coat pocket, finally pulling out a lollipop. "For you!" Isabel smiled, accepting it seriously. "I already have so many." "You don't like it?" I reached for it, and she quickly pulled it away. "Thank you. I love it. We didn't have many shared hobbies, but we always had so much to say." I leaned against her, smiling. "My roommate said if I married someone like you again, he'd—" "What?" The rest was too crude, I mumbled through it. "Let's just say something really disgusting." I sighed. "I can already see him beating me up." Isabel burst out laughing and held my hand. Maybe. You should pick someone else. Isabel. I pushed her. Don't say things like that. She looked down and quietly held my hand. Her fingers were long and elegant, but cold. Lately, she kept having nightmares. Every time, she dreamed of leaving me behind, telling me to live on alone. Luke, I meant, if one day I suddenly left you, I cut her off. No, we're not separating. I kissed her hair and sighed. Never, never apart. The next morning, I stumbled out with dark circles under my eyes. Tony was chewing on a meat pie. Last night, I saw you get into a luxury car. I didn't say a word. He rolled his eyes. Let me guess, you went crawling back to your ex-wife and got humiliated again. Pathetic. It's not like that. She's actually... Stop! He dug in his ear. If I hear you praise her one more time, I'm tossing you out. I gave up, took a sip of soy milk, and stared blankly at him. Swallow it, man. Did your brain leave with that woman? Can't even eat properly anymore? I spit everything out and bolted for the door before he could start yelling. He stood there, face covered in soy milk, cursing. You've got issues! My face had gone pale. Isabel's pregnant. He froze. What does that have to do with weight? It's yours? Mine. He went silent. Shit. A few minutes later, we were in a taxi. When Isabel visited yesterday, she didn't look well. Didn't even want her lollipop. I'd been careless. It was her first pregnancy, but I had seen it before, in my past life. This girl was definitely pregnant. Just then, Latina called. Luke, where are you? I suddenly remembered I was supposed to have a date with her today. Sorry, something urgent came up. Where? Send me the address. Tony knew I didn't like her. He snatched my phone and shut it off. Good safer that way. I sighed. Keep this a secret for me. I don't want the Dawson family to find out. After a moment, he asked, So, you're letting her keep the baby? Yeah. All right. But you're divorced. She might find the kid a new dad. Shut up. The taxi radio was broadcasting the news. We both listened in silence. The Dawson family was in trouble-breaking news this morning. It involved a serious construction site safety incident from years ago. The Lopez family, being one of the partners at the time, also got dragged in. Tony looked at me with concern. I shook my head. It's fine. I hadn't expected Isabel to move this fast. Scandals tied to the Dawson family began pouring out like falling dominoes. All it needed now was one final straw to bring the whole house down. I thought of the past life, how my uncle had secretly orchestrated the explosion using Morgan. The tension I'd carried for so long finally began to ease. This time, we were 10 years early. Isabel's company was flourishing, and my uncle hadn't yet built an empire. Maybe, just maybe, that tragedy wouldn't happen again. Traffic was light today. The driver was steady. Halfway through the ride, my eyelids started to droop. I leaned on Tony's shoulder. Wake me when we get there. Before he could answer, I was out cold. A voice called from far away, Luke, get your ass up. The screech of metal snapped me awake. My limbs felt heavy. I opened my eyes to see steel pipes and the rough cement floor I'd once died on. Wind blew through, carrying the stench of industrial oil and rust. Dazed, I climbed to my feet. Tony was kicking and squirming. Somewhere behind us, something creaked. Thank God! Get over here and untie me! Realizing we were tied up in a strange place, I rushed over and knelt beside him. Thick rope bound his hands. Familiar memories flooded back. I looked around the factory, cold sweat running down my back. This was it. The abandoned factory where I died last time. The knots were tight. too tight to untie, only to wear down by friction. The sound of grinding metal echoed through the empty building. Tony cursed, exhausted. Who the hell kidnaps me? I swear, they've got a death wish. The rope wasn't loosening. Tony slumped against the slab. Luke, forget it. They tied me up, not you. It means I'm the target. Get out, while no one's watching. Call the cops. I gave a bitter smile. Sorry. I'm the one who dragged you into this. What the hell do you mean? Before he could finish, a voice rang out behind us. Your buddy sure talks a lot. It was Latina. Tony peeked out. I quickly covered his eyes. Turning back, I glared at her. He doesn't know anything. Let him go. But Tony snapped. Screw you. I'm from the Camel family. You touch me, and my old man'll bury you. Latina's face darkened. You hurt him, I said. No need to drag the camels into this. Tony's father was a politician. His brother was a cop. He'd grown up fearless. If he got hurt, no one would walk away from it. Latina tossed me a utility knife. Cut the rope. But he doesn't move, or no one walks out alive. I scrambled to cut Tony loose. Don't look at anything. Go home and stay there. Tony frowned, whispering, You sure this isn't a trap? If I leave, I'm calling the cops. Do it, I murmured. But I think they've reached the point where they don't care anymore. I thought of the explosion in my past life and gave him a push. If one of us could escape, then at least there was hope. He gripped my shoulder. Luke, you better wait for me. I'm bringing the cops. Then he ran, not looking back. The place was silent again, just me and Latina. She linked her arm with mine and pulled me to the window. Let's see who's arrived. Down below, a slender figure stood with a gun pointed at her. My uncle. The woman was Isabel. My heart clenched. Latina let out a soft laugh. When the cops arrive, they'll find Isabel's corpse. Your uncle won't escape either. My heart was pounding. My fingertips were freezing, trembling, but I knew if I showed I cared, it would only put Isabel in more danger. I shut my eyes. I'm divorced. Whatever happens to her has nothing to do with me. Is that so? Latina stared at Isabel, then ordered coldly. Uncle Dawson shoot her in the leg. Bang! The shot rang out. Blood immediately soaked Isabel's thigh. She dropped to one knee, face pale, eyes locked on me and Latina. Latina, I'm right here. Let him go. Latina ignored her. She turned to me. Luke, are you happy? I was ice cold, unable to say a word. Uncle's second leg. I suddenly grabbed Latina's hand, trembling. Please, don't. Her smile vanished. Her knuckles turned white from gripping too hard. She gave Isabel a provocative look, then lifted my chin and kissed me. I tried to pull away. If you move, Isabel dies. I froze. She pressed her lips to mine, slowly, deliberately. Nausea welled up in my throat. Do it, Latina ordered coldly. A gunshot rang out below. My mind went blank. I scrambled to the window. Isabel. But she wasn't the one who fell. It was my uncle. He'd been shot in the back, collapsed on the ground. Blood dripped steadily from Isabel's left hand. Not far off, a squad of armed police stormed the premises, quickly surrounding the building. Latina's expression changed. She suddenly raised her gun at me and retreated behind a concrete pillar on the first floor. Outside, the police began shouting commands at her. She hadn't expected them to arrive this quickly. Latina handcuffed me to a steel pipe and hid in a blind spot out of the sniper's line of sight. I have explosives, she shouted. Send Isabel in. Otherwise, I'll blow us both up. Latina, Calm down. I am calm. In the last life, you were willing to die with Isabel. What am I not good enough to die with? Her tone grew increasingly erratic. I could have had everything back. But why did you have to come back too? Give me back the original Luke. Latina. A clear, familiar voice came from just a few steps away. I'm here. Let him go. It was Isabel. I shouted furiously. You idiot! Why are you here? Blood had dried on her leg, and her hands were bandaged. She looked worse than in our past life. From the moment she stepped onto the second floor, her eyes never left, meterified something would happen. Latina pulled me back a few steps and pointed her gun at Isabel. Let's play something new this time, she said, pointing at a nearby leather jacket. Put it on. I recognized that jacket instantly. No, Daunt, you can't. My voice cracked for the first time. You can't wear it. Latina broke into a crazed, delighted laugh. Luke, Isabel had the guts to die with you in the last life. Now what? Just how much do you love her? No. I fought with all my strength against the handcuffs. Latina sneered. I've waited so long for this. If she doesn't then you will. Isabel didn't hear our whispers. Step away from him. I'll put it on. Isabel, go, please. I screamed, begging her. Isabel acted like she didn't hear me. She slipped into the jacket quickly. Beep the countdown began. I closed my eyes in despair. Latina shoved me forward. Luke, choose one. I stood between them and took one step toward Isabel. She stepped back. Luke, don't. The bomb's armed. I froze in place. I wasn't afraid of dying. But walking toward Isabel now would only provoke Latina and risk an early detonation. Luke, admit it, you only love yourself. You're just like your uncle. Selfish and heartless. Latina scoffed. Isabel backed to the window and gave me a look. Then she said, Latina, I'm sorry about your father. You're not worthy to say his name. Latina, who had looked smug before, suddenly snapped. You spoiled rich kids, do you even know what real loss is? But your father did violate safety protocols. He didn't wear a helmet. We paid the compensation. Shut up! Isabel let out a cold, mocking smile. You're just another incompetent failure. My entire body trembled. The world had gone mad. Every word Isabel said hit Latina where it hurt most. Was she trying to die? Latina pulled out a lighter and smashed it to the ground. A fire burst into flames instantly. That oil smell in the air she'd poured it earlier. You ruined my life. She staggered toward me, red eyes burning, her scarred face terrifying in the firelight. Why didn't you choose me, Luke? If you had told me you didn't like disfigured girls, I wouldn't have gone so far. A bucket of cold water suddenly doused my head. It really was her. You're insane. Yes, but that's the only way I could use your guilt to get to Isabel. After years of lying in wait, Latina finally tore off her gentle mask. Her laugh was like a broken bellow, sharp and grating. Luke, if you had chosen me, none of this would have happened. Now it's your fault. Come to hell with me. She pulled out a remote. Without thinking, I grabbed a gun and shot the handcuffs. Then I threw myself at her, wrestling for the remote. Luke! Isabel shouted. And then bang. Glass shattered. Everything went silent. Ringing screamed in my ears like needles stabbing my brain. All I could see was Isabel's pale face mouthing words I couldn't hear. My body felt numb, like I'd exploded into pieces. But if I died with her, I didn't mind. Wasn't afraid. Then why was I crying? The deafness passed quickly. In the next second, urgent voices flooded my ears like a bomb going off. Suspect neutralized! Body found on the second floor of the abandoned factory. Team 1 reporting. Detonation device intact. Hostage confirmed safe. No additional explosives found on site. Fire is spreading. Fast evacuate with the hostage immediately. 2 people propped me up. As we left, I looked back. Latina lay on the ground, dead. The cold air scattered the lingering smoke in my nose. Sirens blared. Red and blue lights crisscrossed against the setting sun. Tony's cursing voice drifted in like music to my ears. God damn it! It's the 21st century. How many waves of anti-crime sweeps have we had, and people still messing with explosives? All these outlaws lock them up, life sentences, death sentences. Bang, no one would even recognize the corpse. Don't let any of them off easy. All right, go check on Luke. We'll handle the rest. Tony spotted me kneeling in the snow and yelled, "Luke, get up and check how your wife and kid are doing." Nearby, Isabel was helping the police dismantle the bomb when her ears suddenly turned red. I walked straight over, picked her up still, wearing the bomb vest, and carried her toward the car without saying a word. Hey, who the hell are you? You could at least say something. Bang! The car door slammed shut, cutting off Tony's protests. I stared at Isabel with a stormy expression. She shrank into the corner. Don't look at me like that. Tomb's scared. You're scared? And you still came? You think this is some kind of duck and cover game? I let loose with a full round of scolding. Tears instantly filled Isabel's eyes. That was a real bomb. I was so furious, my veins were bulging. What if Latina had pressed the button? Then what? She slumped into my arms and murmured, "Oh, no. I think I fainted." I froze, took a deep breath, my forehead pulsing with anger. Then I noticed her hands were trembling. "I'm sorry. I was the one with the bad tone." I pulled her into a tight hug, softening my voice as much as I could. Thank God we were both still alive. "Have you had your wounds properly treated?" she asked. She had worn a bulletproof vest, and my uncle had bad aim, so she only suffered some surface wounds. But me? I was covered in bruises and cuts. "Yeah, I don't believe you. Show me." I laughed. "It's on my upper thigh." She immediately ducked her head and reached for my pants. "We're an old married couple. What are you shy about?" From outside, Tony's muffled voice came through the window. "What are you guys doing?" He yanked open the door. Light poured in. Isabel was kneeling between my legs, hands on my belt, halfway undone. Tony stared at us for 3 seconds, face blank, phone in hand. Then he shut the door and muttered, "Right. A dog's being abusetto, you care? I'm calling animal protection." When Isabel and I held our second wedding, Tony sat at the main table. When he came around to toast us, Isabel smiled gracefully. "I've heard a lot about you from Luke. He said if he remarried me, something terrible might happen." Her probing gaze made Tony recall his bold statement. "If you marry her again, I'll eat shit upside down." He looked at me. I looked at him. Neither of us said a word. "I just mentioned it in passing. Never thought Isabel would remember." Tony laughed awkwardly and raised his glass. "Well, that's all in the past now. Here's to you two. May your love last a lifetime." Isabel smiled sweetly. "Thank you." After the toast, I mumbled, "That was ancient history. Why bring it up?" She laughed. I was curious. "Really?" I hesitated for a second, then grinned. "Come closer. I'll whisper it." I held her close and whispered in her ear for a while. She covered her ears, clearly embarrassed by what she heard. I laughed so hard my stomach hurt. Imagine if he really did it, dragged me into it too. How would you even show your face again? Ha ha ha! My carefree laughter echoed through the hall. Isabel just looked at me, her gaze so soft it could melt. After the banquet, guests were free to explore the beach resort. That evening, Isabel changed out of her wedding dress into comfy clothes and a frayed sun hat. She skipped along the sand. You used to say you wanted me to take you to the beach, but we never did. Used to? When? Oh, I meant the you from 5 years in the future. Isabel frowned. That makes me sound old. You're not old at all. I smacked my lips. You're more refined. That night, just as I entered the bedroom, I was arrested. Danger flared behind me. Click Eye was locked up. Isabel's voice was sultry and charged. She knows you like I do? I froze. Suddenly it clicked. Why she'd been off all day. She was jealous. I burst out laughing. Hey, you! Isabel's eyes sparkled like hooks. Luke, do you love me or her? Don't say that. You're defending her? Yep. That was a whole vat of jealousy spilling over. No, I groaned. Are you going to interrogate me again in 5 years when you remember this? Isabel paused, then nodded seriously. Probably yes. You two fighting I'm the one who suffers. She ignored me, staring at me in the mirror. I really want her to see this. I covered my face in shame. Don't say that. Isabel kissed me, whispering possessively, Luke, you're mine. The night deepened. Moonlight filtered through the curtains onto her sleeping face. I gently touched her cheek, my heart warm. In the last life, I had held her hand so many times and thought, if only we had gotten together sooner. We'd spent 5 years like strangers in pain. During those 5 years, I think I did have feelings for her. On nights, she quietly covered me with a blanket. There were moments when I wanted to hold her tight and say, let's get back together. But Latina's accident had become a thorn in my heart. Even those secret flutterings I barely admitted to every time they stirred, that thorn stabbed me deep. It reminded me Isabel had hurt my family. Maybe I'd been bottling it up for too long. So when the truth came out and love surged forward, those brief moments of passion, I realized I'd loved her far longer than I thought. Luke, you're awake! Her voice was husky with sleep. I cupped her face and gently kissed her lips. I love you. Beneath my palm, her heartbeat quickened. This woman still couldn't resist me. I love you too, she whispered. She grabbed my lips before they could flee again, deepening the kiss. Her sudden passion caught me off guard. Hey, what's gotten into you? I had a dream, she said. What kind of dream? Her eyes were unreadable. I dreamed about our past life. I held my breath. Really? Yeah. She held my face like a treasure. Luke, I'm so glad. We got a second chance. The night was long. The moon shy. The breeze tender. Warmth drifted in the air. The swaying curtain nudged the wind chimes, heartbeat after heartbeat. I became the ocean, soft and deep, cradling the moon and whispering gently, when did you start loving me? Was it at our wedding? The moon replied, no, I've loved you for a long, long time.